Alright, third time's a charm. Alrighty. Let's start this over. By the way, wear my new shoes, dress for the occasion like you said. Alrighty. So today I'll be discussing income inequality with you. So I will be speaking about income inequality and its 5 stages of social problems and its resolutions. Oh my god, I hope I got that right. That's basically something you taught us. That's my connection. There's a pretty big connection, so I will be spending a lot of my time talking about that. And I'll also be talking about the ins and outs of the subject, just so you exactly know what I'm talking about. So you are probably very familiar with what this is, but I can maybe give you a different insight. And here's a different insight. Thesis. So my belief right now, after all my evidence and research, is the income inequality social issue is an almost unsolvable problem in America without either resorting to communism or our present ways. Present ways as of now, of course. And let me back that up with some evidence. So first off, what is it? Income inequality is the unfair or uneven profit margins in income. I guess I can just keep going on that. And the unfair profit margins between individuals and or groups. And lastly, it is a global issue, not just a U.S. issue. So what exactly it is that the basic meaning behind it is that there's a disbalance in our society's working class profits causing the certain inequalities and hardships of our lower class. So the upper class, they basically have always been profiting well and they've never had many hardships. But the lower class, through some ways I'll be talking about a little later, they always seem to be struggling no matter what because of this. And these inequalities can be rooted by differences in our education or our skill level. Different job types, or of course different industry types, that's something huge. And also regions, it can vary by state or just like Midwest, West, California area, South. It can vary a lot. So how exactly is it measured? That's something there's 2 ways to explain. But the second way, that's a lot harder to explain. The first way, though, is called the Gini coefficient. Or I hope I'm saying it right, the Gini coefficient. So first off, before I show you the graph, kind of covering it right now, but 0 is the maximum equality. How can I explain that? Maximum equality could be like, it would be 0, of course. And that'd be like 100 people work. Same job, same type of everything. They get $100 each. That's how it should be. That's sound like communism, basically. It's a lot worse when I say that now. And then 1, that's the highest number. That's the maximum inequality. That means like one person gets $10,000. Everyone else gets 0 if there is any other people. And then say it's usually never one of those 2. It's always in between. That's what the Lorenz curve shows. So right here is the line of equality. It's very straight, very straight. Kind of reminds you of stats if you ever took that class. But the Lorenz curve, that is this. That is a deviation right here between the line of equality and inequality. So inequality is down here somewhere. Excuse me. So the further away the Lorenz curve gets from the line of equality, that's basically how much inequality there is. That's not somewhere you want to be. For performance. All right. So that's basically just the first way, and that's the way you can measure it the best. You bring the stats together, and the Lorenz curve shows. So that's how they measure it. I gotta get going on this. I'm sorry. Okay. So what factors play into this? So we could say that inflation affects the lower income. So that's the first one, inflation. As the higher the inflation rises, the more people have to pay for necessities, which the lower class, they don't exactly have enough money for paying for the necessities, while the upper class, they'll always have enough money. But the more the inflation rises, the worse it gets for the lower class. Worse it gets for everyone, but the lower class seems to suffer even worse. And then next, education and prior skills. So your education really does play a big role in today's generation. But education, unfortunately, is not very widely it's not very accessible to everyone, and that just creates more of a deviation over time. And then age. Um, Age. This is like more of a different kind of sense. So older people retire, and that immediately spikes down their household income to zero. Basically, there's no income at all. As if both or over the household is retiring, and that is basically dropping the inequality rate a crap ton. So, how can we prevent this? These are 5 social stages. So, prevention: we do more accessible education for all, more accessible job-specific training. That could be like trade school, even. That could be anything like that. And then more targeted taxes on the wealthy and more affordable housing. So, more targeted taxes on the wealthy. That's probably seen all over the news. That's something a lot of people advocate for, a lot of people don't, but it is the most sensible, in my opinion. And I don't know if you'll agree. Don't have to. Understand. Intervention. This could be universal health care. I know a lot of European countries do it. They do very well. And more job openings. That could be for anything. That could be more minimum wage type jobs. It could be anything like that. Social reforms. I would say there could be more support towards the rights of all workers. That could be diversity training, equity inclusion programs, learning your rights within the workplace. And then reconstruction. We could maybe do some more apartment and housing developments and, urban and rural. That could be for low income families or individuals. Could be anything along those lines. Increasing the minimum wage so you can have more of a stable life off of a low wage. And lastly, stabilize worker laws. Alleviating consequences, we could do more educational opportunities like scholarships for education, homeless housing, and minimum wage increases. That could obviously decrease the gap there by a lot. And I'm sorry, I'm just over 7 minutes. I'm really sorry. I hope you understand. But to conclude all this, what I've gotten from this whole thing is that I don't think there's a real way to solve this income inequality. I mean, through all the things I've learned through class, I'm looking at every way, and I think the 5 ways, the 5 social reconstruction ways, I don't think that really helps too much. And it's just things we can be doing, but the government doesn't exactly help as much as we would like it to. And it takes a lot more than we think. And no matter what way you go, it's either going to end up in our present way or more of a communist way, which I think a lot of people have found it doesn't really work out too well. At least in my opinion, it doesn't. That's just my opinion. And yeah, let's say your class did teach me a lot about this. My references did help me. I didn't exactly find a way to solve it, and I don't think there'll ever be a way to solve it, but that's something I can maybe look into even more. But yeah, that is my presentation. Thank you.